Today, we're going to go over the murder of Vivian Graham, a notorious hardman and doorman from Newcastle in the United Kingdom, one of the biggest party cities at the time. But it wasn't all glamour. The job came with its own set of dangers. Viv was not just a doorman, he was a hard man, a title earned through blood, sweat, and sheer determination. Welcome to Crime Pulse. If you're new here, hit subscribe and join our growing community digging into the UK's most dangerous criminal underworlds. Like, share, and turn on notifications so you never miss a case. Now, brace yourself. We're about to descend into the life and violent death of Vivian Graham, a Newcastle hardman whose meteoric rise in the city's nightlife turned his golden ambitions into a fatal curse. Born in December 1959 to Hazel and Eric Graham, Vivian grew up in the quiet village of Highfield, near Gateshead, alongside siblings Eric and Karen. Friends and teachers remember Viv as kind, helpful, and upbeat, often joining his older brother on adventures. But as Viv came of age, Tyneside's economic decline hit hard. Steelworks, factories, and shipyards shuttered, leaving many, including Viv, scrambling for work in a region gripped by unemployment. With few prospects, Viv turned to boxing as his escape. He honed his skills at a tough, old-school boxing club in nearby Chopwell. Standing 5'11" as a middleweight, Viv was a force, broad-shouldered, quick, and powerful, with a knack for landing punches from a distance. In 1977, he shone in the Amateur Boxing Association (ABA) Championships, clinching the North-East title and reaching the later stages of the national competition. A loss to a savvy opponent who neutralized his long-range style cost him a shot at England's national team. Viv later fought as a heavyweight, but eventually left boxing behind, though the gym remained his sanctuary for staying fit and sharp. Viv's next move was into the high-stakes world of door security. Newcastle was transforming into one of the UK's biggest party cities, and with the nightlife boom came trouble. Viv connected with Paul Palance, a respected figure known for handling himself and controlling pub and club doors. Through Paul, Viv met Billy Robinson, a major player in the door security game. Soon, Viv landed his first gig at a Gateshead nightclub, just steps from a pub Paul oversaw. With his physical prowess and relentless drive, Viv quickly built a reputation as a formidable doorman, earning the title of hardman through grit and determination in a city where respect was hard won. Being a doorman in Newcastle's wild nightlife scene wasn't just about glamour, it was a high-risk job. Viv's story is one of ambition, resilience, and the perilous line between control and chaos. By the mid-1980s, Newcastle was transforming into a party capital, with dazzling new bars boasting cocktails, chandeliers, chrome finishes, and live music. Vivian Graham stood at the heart of it all, a gatekeeper to the city's vibrant nightlife. In an era before licensed bouncers, doormen like Viv were hired for their raw ability to handle trouble. Fights often erupted over denied entries, drunken lads, troublemakers, and drug dealers testing Viv's iron will. At 17 stone, capable of bench pressing 520 pounds, Viv was a formidable figure. If trouble came, he didn't hesitate to use force, earning a fearsome reputation as a hard man. Viv soon led his own crew of doormen, securing pubs and clubs across central Newcastle, Biker, and Wallsend. Partnering with Gateshead heavyweights Billy Robinson and Paddy Leonard, he charged pubs £50 weekly and clubs up to £1,000 for protection. The booming club scene fueled his fortune, but Viv's gambling addiction drained much of his earnings. His empire stretched across Tyneside, built on his intimidating presence and relentless drive. In 1985, Viv met Anna Connolly while working a bar's door. Their connection grew over drinks and dinners. With both open about their pasts, Anna had 5 children from a previous relationship, and Viv disclosed his ended relationship with Gillian Lowes, who was pregnant with his child. Viv moved to Walkerville, Newcastle, with Anna and her children, stepping into the role of a devoted stepfather. The kids, in turn, saw him as their dad. The late 1980s brought ecstasy and house music, revolutionizing Newcastle's nightlife and igniting brutal battles in the criminal underworld. Drug dealers fought for territory, and Viv's protection racket thrived on his reputation for ruthless violence. Beyond securing venues, he offered a brutal debt collection service, recovering cash from delinquent dealers with unmatched efficiency. Viv stayed sharp, training daily, rarely drinking beyond the occasional Guinness, and always following through on calls for help. One story captures Viv's dominance. A pub owner in North Shields, robbed by a group of Scottish troublemakers, offered Viv £500 to retrieve the stolen cash. Viv strolled in, ordered a drink, and sat beside them. After casually asking if they could handle themselves, he knocked them out one by one, retrieved the money from their pockets, and returned it to the owner, pocketing the reward. In Newcastle's underworld, doormen often controlled the drug trade, deciding which dealers operated and profiting from the sales. Viv's crew was no exception, navigating a world where protection and crime blurred. His reputation as a hard man made him untouchable, but it also painted a target on his back in a city where power came at a deadly cost. In February 1988, Vivian Graham's brutal reputation took a hit. During an argument outside a club, Viv punched Carl Weller, who fell and struck his head, suffering severe brain injuries. Viv received an 18-month suspended sentence, but adapted his fighting style, catching opponents to prevent deadly falls. The incident did little to slow him down, but it marked him as a target in Newcastle's volatile underworld. As Viv's pub and club protection empire grew, so did his enemies. Rival gangs, eager to expand their drug operations, saw him as an obstacle. Death threats became routine, and Viv survived multiple assassination attempts. In one chilling incident outside Manhattan's nightclub, a Nissan with blacked-out windows sped by, unleashing pump-action shotgun fire. Viv's associate, Rob Armstrong, was hit, requiring 60 pellets to be removed from his body, but survived. Defiant, Viv and Rob went to the Sunday Sun newspaper, branding the shooters cowardly scum, too spineless to face them directly, mocking their attack on Rob's back while he was down. Viv's message was clear: "You haven't scared me." Another attempt saw a car drive past Viv's Walkerville home, where he was watching his favorite film, Zulu, with partner Anna Connolly. The gunfire shattered his lounge windows, the sound nearly drowned out by the movie's blaring volume. Viv also faced a suspected revenge shooting tied to an earlier unprovoked assault by him and another bouncer, which left the victim permanently injured. Viv's reputation soared as he targeted Tyneside's toughest. One notable clash involved doorman Stuart Watson. At Julie's nightclub, high on ecstasy, Stuart was blindsided by Viv's uppercut, splitting his chin. Stuart, baffled by the attack, believed Viv was flexing his dominance, picking fights with anyone who had a name to prove his supremacy. By late 1989, Viv aligned with the notorious Sayers crime family. Stephen Sayers, fresh from a year away, aimed to reassert his dominance. At Hobo's nightclub on Bath Road, head doorman Stuart Watson, under orders to bar known gangsters, denied entry to Stephen, his brother Michael, Rob Armstrong, and their crew. Furious, Stephen returned with Viv and his associates. Viv stormed in last, locking eyes with Stuart before unleashing a barrage of punches, tossing the 17-stone, 28-year-old doorman around the reception and onto the dance floor. The Sayers crew joined in, but Viv halted them, knowing their tendency for lethal violence. Viv was a fighter, not a killer. As police arrived, Viv played it cool, claiming victimhood. Undercover officers and CCTV captured the brawl, part of a sting targeting drug dealing and door takeovers. The next day, Viv and the others were arrested. Despite Stuart's refusal to testify, Viv was convicted. Stuart later speculated the police held back, hoping the Sayers would eliminate him, giving them a chance to lock the gang away for life. Viv's violent reign made him a legend, but also a target. His defiance in the face of threats and attacks only fueled the chaos closing in around him. In 1990, Viv Graham, Stephen Sayers, and their crew landed in Durham jail on remand, awaiting trial for the Hobo's nightclub brawl. Police hoped to dismantle some of Northeast England's most notorious figures. The prison was a powder keg, with tensions mirroring the recent Strangeways prison riot in Manchester, where inmates protested squalid conditions for 25 days, resulting in 2 deaths and nearly 200 injuries. Durham nearly followed suit when unrest erupted in the chapel, but Viv quelled it with a single warning: "I'm walking out and these are following me. Touch any of them and you know what you'll get." The riot fizzled before it began. Viv's authority earned him favor with wardens, granting him top privileges, but it also sparked resentment. Notorious inmate Charles Bronson branded him a rat and a bully, claiming more respect for another prisoner, Lee Duffy, whom Viv warned to watch his step. Viv's knack for handling trouble won guards' respect, but enemies among inmates. During a visit, Anna attempted to smuggle cannabis for Viv to sell inside. He hid it in his mouth, but guards caught him as he left. A frantic struggle ensued as they tried to pry open his jaw. Viv fought back, chewing and swallowing the stash to avoid charges, later worrying about the amount he'd consumed. Another inmate advised him to sleep it off. As trial loomed, Anna uncovered Viv's infidelities. While Viv had disclosed his ex-partner, Gillian Lowes was pregnant with his son Dean when they met. Anna learned Gillian had since given birth to a second son, Viv Jr., during his remand. Worse, another woman, Julie Ruford, was also pregnant with Viv's child. Devastated, Anna confronted him during a prison visit, threw her engagement ring at him, and declared, "It's over. I'm never coming back," ending their relationship. Viv, Stephen, and Michael Sayers, and 3 others faced charges of violent disorder and wounding at Newcastle Crown Court. Judge Mary McMurray oversaw the case, with CCTV footage exposing the gang's brutality. Initially denying the charges, they eventually pleaded guilty to lesser counts of unlawful wounding. Viv, still under a suspended sentence from the Carl Weller incident, received 3 years, while the others got 2.5. His relatively light sentence reflected his cooperation and reputation. While incarcerated, police probed Viv's finances, puzzled by his massive gambling losses, estimated at £2 million in high-stakes bets. Suspecting illicit income, they ordered betting shops to report large wagers. Viv's fortune, built on protection rackets and debt collection, was under the microscope. After 15 months, Viv was released to a transformed Newcastle. Ecstasy and raves had exploded, turning the underground scene mainstream. Gangs seized new opportunities, tightening their grip on nightlife through drugs and extortion. Viv returned home to Anna unannounced, catching her off guard. Though furious about his betrayals, they reconciled and worked to rebuild their life together. Determined to reclaim his empire, Viv cut ties with former Gangland allies, including the Sayers. This sparked a bitter feud with rivals eager to challenge his dominance. Newcastle's streets were now a battleground, and Viv's return marked the start of a dangerous new chapter. By the early 1990s, Newcastle's nightlife was a magnet for thousands of young revelers, fueling a booming market for illegal drugs, especially ecstasy. Viv Graham's iron grip on pub and club doors made him indispensable to owners, but a target for gangs vying to control the drug trade. Ecstasy's rise turned door security into a gold mine. Control the doors, control the drugs. Viv didn't ban drugs outright. Instead, he permitted select dealers to operate in his venues, ensuring he knew exactly what was sold and taking a cut of their profits. Defiant dealers faced Viv's swift justice. A punch or a kick sent them packing, a warning to others. This move enraged rival gangs, escalating tensions in an already volatile underworld. With ecstasy pills bought at £5 and sold for £10, the profits were massive, and Viv claimed his share, cementing his dominance over Tyneside's nightlife. Post-prison, Viv tried to reconcile with former rival Stuart Watson. They briefly worked together, but a money dispute soured the truce. Viv's reputation grew beyond Tyneside, attracting job offers from Glasgow, London, and even Tenerife-based criminal John Palmer. But prison had changed him. He drank heavily, relied on steroids, and became more volatile. His enemies sensed weakness and began plotting. In one incident, Viv confronted a gang member dealing drugs in his club. A scuffle ensued, and the dealer fled through a fire exit with Viv in pursuit. Tension spiked when Viv banned associates of notorious figure Paddy Conroy from an Italian restaurant in the Cloth Market. Infuriated, Conroy and his crew stormed the venue, only to face Viv's doorman. One of Conroy's group smashed a window, triggering an alarm. Police spotted and chased them, arresting Conroy at his home. Authorities claimed he attacked them with a knife, though witnesses disputed this, alleging police brutality. Conroy was convicted and jailed. Later, Conroy's family and friends, drowning their sorrows, ended up at Julie's nightclub, where Viv and his steroid-fueled crew manned the door. Viv allowed some in, but barred Michael Bullock, a Conroy ally, calling him out. When Bullock insulted Viv as a copper, Viv challenged him to a fight. Bullock initially had the upper hand, but Viv, fearing a knockout, abandoned boxing finesse, locked Bullock in a headlock, and broke his jaw with 2 brutal punches. Viv's empire raked in up to £30,000 weekly in 1992, but he and Anna lived extravagantly, burning through cash as fast as it came. Their easy-come, easy-go lifestyle saw them compete to outspend each other. Once, Viv hid behind a settee to dodge a debt collector after blowing £30,000 meant for repayment. By 1993, Newcastle's underworld was spiraling, with gun crime and violence surging. The Sayers family's pub, the New Darrell, was shot up, injuring Michael Sayers and another. No one was convicted, but a suspect was found dead at the base of a flat block on Christmas Eve. Viv faced another gang trying to oust his firm from a venue. Present during the confrontation, he floored one attacker with repeated punches, scattering the rest. Viv's tactics, banning dealers, taxing others, and attacking rivals, earned him a reputation as a bully. Stuart Watson recalled Viv knocking out a man simply for showing off his physique in a club. Viv's ego-driven assaults on hard men and doormen, including a planned but unfulfilled fight with the late Lee Duffy, made him a hated figure. As he tightened his grip on Newcastle's doors, Viv's enemies multiplied, setting the stage for a deadly reckoning. In December 1993, Viv Graham and fiancée Anna Connolly moved into their new Walkerville home, dreaming of a quieter life. They planned to marry and relocate to a countryside farmhouse, with Viv vowing to quit gambling and steroids, but his past loomed large. Death threats flooded in daily, and Newcastle's underworld was rife with violence. That summer, doorman Howard Mills lost part of his leg in a shooting, and Billy Robinson, Viv's mentor, was gunned down in Gateshead. Viv confided to Anna, "I think they're going to shoot." On New Year's Eve 1993, Viv and Anna prepared to celebrate. Before heading out, Viv needed to stop by the Queen's Head pub on Wallsend High Street. A chilling phone call warned he'd be shot. After assuring Anna he was heading home, Viv left the pub around 6 p.m. He stopped at a shop for cigarettes, unaware a stolen blue Ford Escort lurked in a back alley. As he approached his Ford Cosworth, its side window smashed, a gunman emerged from the shadows. A .357 Magnum fired 3 shots, one through Viv's thigh, another into his pelvis, and a third ricocheting off the ground. The shooter fled in the Escort. Bleeding heavily, Viv dragged himself 30 yards back to the pub, where bouncer Terry Scott found him. An ambulance rushed him to North Tyneside General Hospital, where Anna arrived first. Despite 30 pints of blood, Viv died at 10 p.m., age 34, 4 hours after the attack. The shooting was suspected as revenge for an earlier assault by Viv that left the victim permanently injured, though this was never confirmed. Forensic pathologist Dr. John McCarthy noted the bullets struck Viv's upper legs and pelvis, causing fatal vascular damage. The unusual wound locations suggested a warning or punishment rather than an intent to kill. Viv's enemies celebrated at the Corner House pub in Jesmond, chanting, "Viv no more" in '94. Yet friends like footballer Paul Gascoigne mourned deeply, recalling Viv as a loyal mate he'd shared drinks with at Macy's bar. Police launched a massive manhunt, interviewing 1,000 people, visiting 500 homes, and taking hundreds of statements. They saw a distinctive 5 feet 2 inches man with short mousy hair, wearing a long-sleeved dress shirt, seen leaving the Queen's Head minutes before the shooting. A burnt-out blue Ford Escort in Heaton, spotted near the crime scene, became a key lead, linked to a Gangland hit. Witnesses, gripped by fear, stayed silent. Suspects like Darren Arnold, Karen Young, Brian Tate, Alan Jackson, Alan Wheat, Michael Sayers, and Lee Sean Watson were questioned, but no charges stuck. Former boxer John Gardner was also quizzed after a near-violent clash with Viv a week earlier, but he was cleared. In 1995, while imprisoned for Freddie Knight's murder, informant Lee Sean Watson claimed he drove the getaway car, a blue Ford Escort stolen from Berkeley, for Viv's shooting. He named the gunman, alleging they targeted Viv's legs over a dispute. Watson said they trailed Viv from his home to Wallsend, where the gunman smashed Viv's car window to lure him. After hearing 3 shots, Watson saw Viv on all fours, then drove the gunman to Heaton, burning the car in Simonside Terrace. He claimed the gunman, high on cocaine, used a .357 Magnum from a shoulder holster and believed Viv was only wounded. Watson offered details, like hitting a woman's car with tissues and furry toys inside, and claimed a tape of the gunman bragging at a karaoke night, but he wouldn't produce it. Police dismissed his account, noting it echoed public reports. Viv's family offered a £100,000 reward, but the wall of silence held. Viv's funeral at St. Patrick's Church near Highfield, followed by burial at Hookergate Cemetery, drew loved ones. A January 1994 article questioned Viv's dual image, a drug baron and thug to some, a gentleman who kept Tyneside's nightlife safe to others. His father denied drug dealing, citing Viv's car repossession as proof of financial struggles. Police probed his empire, even tracing leads to Tenerife. In 2014, released files confirmed Watson's claims, but no convictions followed. Viv's murder remains unsolved, a stark end to a life that burned bright and dangerous. Viv Graham's murder on New Year's Eve, 1993, left Newcastle's nightlife in turmoil. Pubs grew quiet, tension hung heavy, and fear gripped owners and patrons alike. Without Viv's iron control, landlords like Peter Connolly faced threats from opportunists eyeing his territory. One pub manager voiced the unease. "We're vulnerable, customers feel unsafe, and we don't know who's trying to take over. But if they think they can smash up our place and we'll do nothing, they're wrong. We'll fight back." Viv's death opened a void in the criminal underworld, unleashing unchecked violence and drug trafficking. The fear Viv once inspired was gone, and chaos reigned. Viv's absence emboldened former allies and rivals. Chet Sandhu, a friend-turned doorman, filled the gap. After losing his shop to fraud, Chet dealt steroids, popular among doormen, sourcing them directly from manufacturers in Pakistan. He later expanded into Valium, reaping massive profits. In 1999, he was arrested at gunpoint in Oran Airport with £500,000 worth of black market pharmaceuticals, landing 4.5 years in a harsh Spanish prison. Chet later reflected, "Without Viv, we thought we could do whatever we wanted, no fear. I sold drugs everywhere, didn't care who was already dealing there. I'd tell them, do what you want about it." Viv's murder sparked countless theories. Some pointed to the Sayers family, citing a fight between Viv and Michael Sayers outside the Madison as motive for a contract hit. Others believed a West End Newcastle family sought revenge for Viv's attack on two of their own in a pub. A witness reported seeing 3 men at the Corner House pub near the burnt-out Ford Escort, congratulated for a job well done. Another theory involved Andy Winder, who, after clashing with Paddy Leonard over a threat invoking Viv's name, warned, "If anything happens to me, I have a side for Viv to be removed." Rumours also swirled of drug barons from London, Manchester, or Liverpool, enraged by Viv's European-sourced ecstasy ring, hiring contract killers. Paddy Conroy, a rival to the Sayers, was a prime suspect. A notorious figure, Conroy later became Britain's most wanted after escaping a prison vehicle facing kidnap, false imprisonment, and torture charges. He fled to Spain before capture and conviction. A group Viv disliked, Little Legs, Karen Young, Alan Jackson, Brian Tate, and Darren Arnold, frequented the Queen's Head. A week before his death, Viv broke Little Leg's rib in a confrontation while intimidating Karen, who later said Viv wasn't known for harming women. In 1998, Northumbria police questioned this group over an alleged murder conspiracy, but no charges stuck. Another lead pointed to Sabre Security in Blackpool, run by John Hurd and John Barrett. Viv's work for them reportedly caused friction, possibly prompting a hit with Alan Wheat as the alleged gunman. Viv's murder left Newcastle's underworld fractured. His once secure doors became gateways for rampant drug dealing and violence. Rival gangs, emboldened by his absence, vied for control, while theories of betrayal and revenge swirled. Despite police efforts, the killer remained at large, leaving Viv's legacy as both a protector and a predator in a city forever changed. 3 decades have passed since Viv Graham, aged 34, was gunned down outside the Queen's Head pub in Wallsend on New Year's Eve 1993, in a crime that remains one of North East England's most infamous unsolved mysteries. Despite a massive investigation, no one has been convicted, and speculation about the killer's identity persists as fiercely today as it did in 1993. Retired detectives have rejoined Northumbria Police, forming a dedicated team to re-examine old case files, evidence, and new leads in hopes of catching those who've evaded justice for years. Detective Superintendent Jane Fame emphasized, "Viv's death, though 30 years old, remains an open case. We're committed to uncovering the truth and will pursue any new information." Unsolved murders are never closed. They're periodically reviewed, and every lead is thoroughly investigated. Chief Constable Vanessa Jardine, speaking to the Chronicle, expressed her determination to bring closure, stating, "It keeps me up at night. We've reinstated a review team to examine every unsolved case, ensuring families get answers, no matter how long it takes." The tragedy extended beyond Viv's death. On March 25, 2010, His son Dean was found dead in his car on Winfield Industrial Estate near Rowlands Gill, believed to have taken his own life. In 2012, Viv's other son, Viv Jr., was attacked by thugs, suffering a fractured skull. Viv Jr. has occasionally courted his father's notorious reputation. During a failed attempt to recover money owed to his cousin, he assaulted the debtor's father and, back at his cousin's home, headbutted and punched a woman who urged him to calm down. Judge Penny Morland sentenced him to 12 months in prison, suspended for 18 months. Who killed Viv Graham? The answer remains buried in Newcastle's shadowy underworld, with theories pointing to rival gangs, betrayed allies, or hired hitmen. The truth eludes us, leaving a void for Viv's family and friends. We extend our deepest condolences to those who loved him. Rest in peace, Viv Graham. Thank you for joining us on Crime Pulse. Like, comment, subscribe, and stay safe until next time.